Now, speaking to Newsfirst, Shami Rasuldin earlier this evening, parliamentarian Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe expressed the following views on the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe, certain sections in society are against the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. What is the reason behind this?
Well, the reason is that we're not against the 19th per se. It has a lot of very good things. But we're against the 19th as a whole because instead of fulfilling the promises of the Sirisena presidency, it fulfills one promise in a very twisted way. We promise to reduce the power of the presidency. But what this seeks to do is to hand over a lot of power to the Prime Minister. Now, certainly independent commissions are important, but you must have independent commissions with teeth.
You supported President Maithripala Sirisena's election campaign when he announced his candidature to contest against President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Were you not aware of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution?
No. What I was aware of was the promise to do 6 or 7 different things. We were supposed to be consulted on this. No one was consulted. It emerged like a teeny from Ranil Wickremesinghe's head in the form of Jayampathy Wickramaratne. When we were finally brought together, all of us protested about the excessive power of the Prime Minister. Ranil got almost cheerful and said, I am going to tell Chandrika Kumaratunga, she promised this. I don't know whether he did it or not. But it was agreed that the clause saying the President functions otherwise Prime Minister be removed. That was removed in the Gazette notification, but instead there was the provision that the Prime Minister presides over the Cabinet.
Did you not oppose?
Of course we opposed it, and when we complained about Jayampathy Wickramaratne said that was a mistake, we make human error.
Can laws be formulated with mistakes?
Exactly, that's why Jayampathy Wickramaratne should give up this idea. He said he didn't look, but that's not good enough. But then what did they do? Instead of removing that as he promised, and he promised us that would go, instead Ranil went to Cabinet and reintroduced the advice of the Prime Minister. Now you know perfectly well the Supreme Court got rid of the excessors in the 40s. In
423, 431 and civil clauses altogether.
Ranil, I think, will come and say, no, but we said we are going to make the President act on advice and that is okay. So I did a paper saying we must resist any amendment that the government brings, claiming it's approved by the Supreme Court. But conversely, we must introduce an amendment for what I think the people want most of all, which is a change in the electoral system.
What is the President's position on electoral reform?
The President was very clear today. He was trying to reach a consensus, but he said, look, we're all agreed that the reforms must go together.
Where was this communicated?
At the parliamentary meeting of the SLFP and the UPFA. And the SLFP members by and large, and people like me, said, you cannot do this piecemeal. Someone said, let this pass if Ranil promises to bring the next, and we realized you can't trust Ranil's promises at all. He said, liar. But what we did suggest was that we introduce electoral reform as an amendment to the 19th Amendment. The people want it.
Why is the Prime Minister attempting to prune the powers of an elected executive president?
Because the Prime Minister, being a student of Jaya Jayawardena, sadly he didn't learn politics under people like Dadisena Nayaka, who was a great gentleman. Jaya was a cunning old fox who wanted all power for himself. And of course that 1978 constitution does give him all power. He had unbridled power. Ranil would like to have that back. He knows he can't win it by election. And he's trying to smuggle himself in through Mr. Sirisena, who is a nice man who genuinely wants to reduce his powers, and Ranil wants to usurp them. But I think Mr. Sirisena also must realize that he should not give his powers to Ranil. He should give them back to the people.
Is he trying to achieve any personal agenda?
I think he wants power. He wants to be Jaya Jayawardena again.
What is the message you have for the President, Maithripala Sirisena?
My message to the President is, please go ahead and fulfill your manifesto as a whole. Remember, you're the elected President of this country. Your pledge was to reduce your powers. This means greater consultation with all branches of the state.
The President had said that electoral reforms will come into play with the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. What is the future of your party, the Liberal Party? You are the leader of the party. You are now a parliamentarian. What is going to be the future of your party?
Well, the Liberal Party had always worked in terms of alliances. We decided in January that we would write to the UPFA to ask to continue with the alliance, and we had a positive response from the Secretary. For the first time, they want to make it official.